To save a family on the brink of collapse, I dyed my hair back to black, pulled out the piercings, and put on the mask of a docile omega, then married that austere alpha whose emotions had long been stripped away. After the wedding, I tried every trick in the book, feigned innocence, played at seduction, teased until my voice cracked. No matter what I did, his handsome face never betrayed even a flicker of change. So when the family business finally recovered, I decided it was time to reclaim myself, rebel a little, then file for divorce. But the night Bruce Allison caught me, tattoos glinting and piercings back in place, the façade shattered. His perpetually paralyzed expression broke wide open. One hand gripped the tattoo inked on my tongue, the other yanked hard at my waistband. "Leo Gomez," his voice cut low and dark, "you like the pain that much? Welcome to History Channel. Subscribe to follow all our latest adventures. Story begins." "Leo, are you really going through with this? You know that stiff old husband of yours hates this sort of thing. Aren't you afraid he'll actually punish you if he finds out?" The piercer, an old childhood friend, asked me again and again before I committed. I dropped into the chair without hesitation, crossed one leg over the other, and smirked. Relax. If Bruce Allison ever bothered to look at me twice, that alone would be a blessing. He'd never notice. Even when I stripped bare and climbed onto him, that iceberg alpha could calmly deal with work documents before coldly telling me to get off. As long as I didn't parade my rebellion right under his nose, as long as I kept playing the obedient boy, nothing ever happened. See? He hasn't noticed this one either. I lifted my tongue, flashing the tiny tattoo I'd gotten in secret not long ago. I've made up my mind. Now that my family's back on track, I'll file for divorce in a few days. I'm done playing the perfect omega. The truth was, this marriage had been my idea. My father, an alpha with a thug's past, was never the brightest bulb. With the help of my other father, a pampered omega from a wealthy family, he had managed to steer his crew of brothers onto the right path. But the stronger his possessiveness grew, the closer it veered toward obsession. One day, my father simply vanished, leaving a note about needing to see the outside world. When he made up his mind, no one, not even a house full of hackers, could pin him down. Left to his own devices, my alpha dad slid back into his old ways. The company's PR couldn't keep up with the chaos he caused. Bankruptcy loomed. I couldn't bear to watch anymore. So I offered myself up for a marriage alliance. And back then, I was hell-bent on Bruce Allison. Who didn't know he was the ultimate prize in our world? Washington Allison took one look at me, top-tier omega, every bit his son's type, and practically wanted to hand me the company on a platter. Now I knew why. Because Bruce Allison, the perfect alpha, wasn't some paragon of restraint. He was cold to the bone, indifferent to the point of near impotence. All that muscle wasn't for passion, it was for lashing discipline like a whip. "Oh, Mr. Allison." My friend suddenly called out toward the door while I was half undressed. I shot up like lightning, head down, playing dead. "Honey, no, it's not what it looks like." Only the empty room answered. I clenched my teeth, wishing I could smack my friend. "I'm just maintaining appearances, not afraid of him." Sure, my friend said with a stifled grin. "Left side or right?" I jabbed a finger. "Right. If I was going to be reckless, I might as well enjoy it." We left with fresh piercings and ignored his nagging about staying clean, heading straight for a bar. After drinking ourselves silly, he suddenly widened his eyes in mock terror, glancing behind me. "Brew, Mr. Allison." I snorted. Come on. That ice block wouldn't set foot in a bar. Drinking would break his precious vows. I tipped back another glass, legs crossed, sinking lazily into the sofa. No way was I falling for that trick twice. "Oh, is that so?" A low, familiar voice wrapped around me, steeped in cologne. I opened my eyes and met Bruce Allison's breathtaking face. Game over. Completely over. I dropped my glass in a panic, whining like a kicked puppy. It was him. He forced me to come. Said he wouldn't let me go home otherwise. "Honey, you know I can't drink. One sip and I'm, hiccup, wasted." Bruce's hand pressed against my cheek. "Then I suppose he must have threatened you." Your face is so red from drinking. Well, not exactly. I didn't want my friend to get punished for me. I spun around, climbed onto the sofa to hug Bruce, blinking innocently up at him. Honey, it's because I saw you and got shy. That's why I'm blushing. When have I ever lied to you? My friend clamped a hand over his mouth to keep from laughing. I shot him a middle finger behind my back. Bruce's gaze cooled. If it wasn't voluntary, then let's call it a debt and leave it at that. Now, come with me. A very important friend of mine is back in the country. We're going to meet him. That explained it. No wonder he showed up here of all places. Normally, he avoided noisy crowds like the plague. He led me upstairs to a private suite. Inside, the room was filled with handsome men I didn't recognize, dazzling enough to make me dizzy. After a round of introductions, the guest of honor arrived. This is Jackson Affleck, Bruce said. He's been racing abroad these past years. I felt a pang of envy. To become the perfect Omega, I'd given up my own love of racing long ago. But when Jackson walked in, my heart dropped into my shoes. Because I knew him. Hey Pepper, he drawled. So you're Bruce's Omega? What's with this new style? Not just Jackson Affleck, the Jackson Affleck. Back when I studied abroad, we'd been on the same racing team. He'd even chased after me once. Bruce's eyes, sharp as knives honed on 1,000 negotiations, turned on me. You two know each other? I stiffened, spine straight as a rod. Barely. We crossed paths at some gatherings overseas. That should have been enough to clue him in. But Jackson was thick as a brick. He just smirked. Been a long time, huh? I saw your posts, haven't raced in ages. Why quit? God, could he not shut up? Toy cars. I used to play with toy cars. 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers. Pretty little things. I clutched my orange juice, ducking into Bruce's side, hiding in the blind spot of his arm. With a glare, I mouthed at Jackson, "Shut up, idiot, or I'll kill you." He choked on his drink, coughing violently, then bobbed his head. Right. Toy cars. Transformers and all that. Bruce said nothing. I breathed a sigh of relief, shifting to get up. But my chest brushed his suit, tugging at the fresh piercing. A white-hot jolt of pain shot straight to my skull. Face drained, I clutched his jacket, praying to every ancestor I had. Bruce's eyes narrowed. What's wrong with your chest? And nothing. Nothing at all. To ease his suspicion, I slapped twice at the aching spot on my chest and forced out a bitter smile. See? Nothing wrong. I'm perfectly fine. Nothing fine at all. My God, it hurts so bad. The price of posturing was clear when I got home. After a shower, the pain in my chest was so sharp I couldn't even get a shirt on. But what could I do? Walk right out and flaunt those gleaming silver piercings in Bruce Allison's face? Not unless I wanted to die. So I wrapped myself in a robe, hunched over, and crept out of the bathroom. I peeked into the living room to check if anyone was around. Except Bruce wasn't in his study. He was out on the balcony, smoking. I spun around and nearly collapsed right there when I saw his solemn face through the glass. Honey, what are you, a spy now? Sneaking around without a sound? I muttered as I slunk toward the balcony. Bruce leaned against the railing, eyes raking me from head to toe. Why are you hunched like that? Where does it hurt? What? I don't hurt anywhere. Couldn't he just let it drop? Irritation flared hot in my chest. Stop treating me like a kid. I'm not 12 anymore. Maybe it was the resolve to divorce giving me backbone, but lately my temper had been running high. Bruce's face darkened, his voice heavy. Leo Gomez, even as your elder, I have every right to discipline you. Sure, elder. Father. Mentor. Everything but husband. People said marriages like ours grew into love. To me, it felt more like we were bound for a lifetime of polite, distant courtesy. I snatched the cigarette from his lips. Honey, you should quit. Kids don't smoke, and it's no good for an old man either. Why was he like this? All those sculpted muscles wasted on a man who seemed drained of emotion. Gorgeous face, perfect body, but dead inside, as if any passion had been surgically removed. Hardware like that goes unused too long, it's bound to rust. I raised the cigarette to my own mouth, determined to prove a point. Ugh, cough cough. What the hell, menthol laced with chloroform? The taste nearly paralyzed me. I shoved it back between his lips, which earned me a hard shove against the wall. Leo Gomez. His hand tugged the robe open, exposing the taut lines of my body, veins standing out beneath bronze skin. Alright, I'll stop, I stammered, eyes fixed on his muscles. God, I wanted to bury my face there, breathe him in. But instead I forced myself to wave weakly. I'm going to bed. Come early, honey. Except later that night the pain spiked again, sharp as if someone had shoved the needle back through my chest. Enough, I'm not paying extra for another piercing. I yelped, shoving away what I thought was my friend's hand. A raspy voice behind me, piercing? Leo Gomez, did you go out picking fights? My blood went cold. Those eyes glowed faintly in the dark, pinning me down. Game, I blurted. I meant a game. I turned my head, trembling, only to feel something solid pressing against me. I'd taken care to face away from him, hiding. After all, he never initiated anything, never responded no matter how I teased. But now, he was hard. God help me. If I divorced him, who else would ever let me near something like this again? Bruce realized too, but not a flicker of embarrassment crossed his face. It's fine. It'll pass. He rolled over, calmly going to sleep. But I could swear he'd been inching closer the whole time. Maybe I dreamed it. Maybe I was the one drifting toward him. I sighed. Bruce Allison, go live out your life as a monk. Once I'm free, I'll find 5, no, 10 alphas even hotter than you. I woke naturally the next morning and sprawled in bed, scrolling on my phone. The family company looked to be recovering fast. My dad had even hired a top-tier celebrity to endorse us. But if that old brute found out I wanted a divorce while things were going so well, he'd skin me alive. Which meant I needed startup funds first, enough to keep me afloat until Dad cooled down. The only way was to squeeze Bruce Allison one more time. Clutching a picture of a jewelry set I'd been eyeing, I had the driver take me straight to his company. I sauntered into the CEO's office and plopped myself onto his lap. Honey, I want this one. Buy it for me. With a little whining, I knew he'd cave. He always did, too busy to argue, too rich to care. Getting me out of the way quickly was his version of peace. Out of money on your card? He asked evenly, signing documents without missing a beat. One hand reached back to quietly lock the office door. The card you gave me is yours, honey, I said primly. I can't bear to touch it. I want your money for this. Come on, say yes. I was acting sweet enough, wasn't I? But Bruce only glanced at me once, then shut me down flat. No. A sapphire that flashy around your neck, it isn't safe. Why not? You used to give me anything I wanted. That's the problem. I've spoiled you. Liar. Excuses. Everyone knew, if an alpha truly cared, even mountains of gold would be yours. But him? He'd spent freely for 3 months and suddenly acted like it cost him his soul. If you don't buy it for me, I'll make a scene right here. Bruce Allison's body stiffened, eyes rimmed faintly red. Got him, I thought, finally rattled. But instead of backing down, he said flatly, all right, start. Before I could even react, he yanked open my shirt, fingers pressing directly onto the piercing. The bolt of pain shot to my skull. Ah! I screamed, loud enough to shake the walls. We both froze, staring at each other. A few seconds later, his fingers twisted the stud with cruel precision. Leo Gomez, what is this? My brain crashed. I tried to scramble off his lap, but he caught me by the armpits, flipped me a clean 180, and dropped me astride his thighs. His face was expressionless, and I trembled like a leaf. When was the first time he punished me? Yes, that banquet. I'd gotten into a brawl with an old rival, right there in front of everyone. Bruce had forced the guy to apologize on the spot. But once we got home, he whipped me so hard I nearly lost control. Days later, that rival was exposed in the papers for taking vigilante revenge on his own enemy. Bruce always seemed to know. And now he'd caught me again, indulging in something reckless. No way he'd let me off easy. Swallowing hard, I held up 3 shaking fingers. Honey, I swear, It's just this one piercing. I can even take it out. Lies. He trapped my fingers in his palm, lowered his gaze. And the tattoo? You've got that too, haven't you? My chest seized. He knew? No tattoo. But Bruce didn't care to listen. His hands moved over me, stripping cloth, searching every inch of skin. Nothing. Still, he wasn't convinced. You're awfully quiet today. His tone shifted. He pressed a finger to my lips. Open your mouth. Minutes later, he had two hands on me, one gripping my tongue, holding up the tattoo inked there, the other yanking at his belt. Leo Gomez, you enjoy pain that much? Want to taste the strap? No, I don't. My voice was garbled with his fingers pinning my tongue. It's your name, I tattooed your name, can't you spare me a few lashes? His brow arched, cruel amusement flickering. He rolled up his sleeves. Blame me for it? Then that's 5 more. You cheat, bastard. The belt cracked down, each strike echoing sharp against skin. Twice. My cries mingled with curses, with pleas, with his harsher breaths. By the 7th, maybe 8th lash, I snapped. I sank my teeth into his arm. He grunted, muscles swelling under my bite. His hand wrenched my hair back, forcing me to meet his eyes. Got bold, huh? You dare bite back while I discipline you? Running around with those filthy types, messing with this trash. You think I won't hand you over to Brian to straighten you out? Brian, my friend's so-called uncle by adoption, an alpha sadist who'd tormented him for years. No. I released his arm, frantic, wiping at the teeth marks. It was me. I made him do it. Don't you dare blame him. You know damn well his uncle's scum. He's only ever abused him, just because he's alpha. I hate it. I never said it was his fault. Bruce's voice cut sharp, his brows drawn tight. But you know what kind of place that is. You know the filth that comes and goes. And you still chose to keep him as a friend. His words were weightless, airy with disdain, but sharp with authority, the tone of a man used to ruling, leaving no room for argument. And that tone, combined with the weight of our gulf in status, burned in me like acid. I leapt down from the desk, jabbing a finger at him. Bruce Allison. Yes, he's a thug. So what? My father was a thug too. I'm an embarrassment to you, right? Marrying me kept you from getting the sweet, obedient Omega wife you deserved. Leo Gomez. His composure cracked, voice raised for once. What? My own voice shook, trembling with rage I barely held together. Don't think I don't know, you've had people watching me all along. Otherwise, how would you know what I've been doing? I hate you, Bruce Allison. And not the playful kind of hate. Real hate. From now on, stay out of my life. He stood stunned, good breeding the only thing keeping him from cursing outright. Of course he was shocked. Seeing me, his obedient partner, unravel like this, it must have rocked him. I snatched up my clothes, watching him from the corner of my eye, ready to storm out. But he moved first. Calmly, silently, he opened the door and walked out, nearly slamming it in my face. The one thing we excelled at together, silence. Bruce Allison, never much for words, now wouldn't even waste a grunt on me. But money, oh money he still handed over. As if I'd refuse the money. Of course I took it, and I'd use every cent to fund my escape. Bruce Allison wasn't wrong about one thing. My best friend and I were no saints. Thanks to his paranoid uncle, my friend's runaway skills had grown so sharp he could almost rival my dad. You're clever, sticking close to me so my uncle won't suspect at first. But what happens if he finds out? I'll be sprinting after you, and that's exhausting, you know. He muttered this while scrolling through travel guides on his phone. 20 million, he added, plus my maxed out account to cover the pain if you get caught. I flashed him my balance. You're the seasoned pro. I'm doing this for the first time. Then remember, he chuckled, every Omega who sets up a runaway plan in novels always gets caught by the domineering CEO and ravished. But let him ravish me to death. I downed a shot, lips curling bitterly. But I'm not some storybook Omega. And Bruce Allison isn't the one-heart-only type of alpha. He's a cold-faced money-making machine who edits documents for fun. My friend nodded but suddenly went wide-eyed, gaze flicking behind me with gossip shining bright. Leo, am I seeing things? Isn't your cold-faced machine over there, laughing with another man? I whipped around. A soft, refined Omega stood with Bruce, every gesture polished, long hair framing a gentle smile. The perfect contrast to my rough, counterfeit charm. And then, like they shared some silent cue, Bruce glanced my way, met my eyes for a heartbeat, and turned back to keep chatting. My chest burned. Right in front of me. Don't bother staring. Alphas are like clothes, don't fit, change 'em, my friend teased. I don't care, I snapped, clutching a glass that suddenly felt too big in my hand. Then why are you gripping the ashtray like that? I inhaled a lungful of smoke and hacked until my eyes watered. Didn't I tell you to smoke less? You'll choke us both to death. I stewed until Bruce finished his chat. Only then did I trail him home, stubborn and seething. At the door, I kicked my shoes off hard enough to send them flying, stomping into the living room. Bruce emerged from the bathroom, robe loose, arms crossed. So tonight, it was someone else forcing you to drink again? All evening he'd acted like I didn't exist, but now he wanted answers. What's it to you? I muttered, sneaking a glance his way. He caught it, deliberately provoking me. Louder. I didn't hear you. That stoked the fire in my chest. I lifted my head, glaring stubbornly. Yes, I drank. So what? What does that have to do with you? To you, this is all just a transaction. So why bother pretending you're my husband now? Dragging me along like a leash dog. Was that his idea of fun? Leo Gomez, you've had a few too many. I never. Stop lecturing me. I cut him off, voice cracking with frustration. I wanted a fatherly boyfriend, not an actual father. You won't even hate me enough to touch me. What kind of husband are you? Divorce. I want a divorce. It wasn't heat of the moment, though my head spun as the words left my mouth. Giving up someone I'd loved for so long was brutal. But I believed time would dull the edges. I'd find something more meaningful than him. Except every trip to the registry failed. Work emergencies, missing IDs. Somehow, he always slipped out of it. Funny how I'd never noticed his memory was so conveniently bad. The delays only made things worse. My heat was coming soon, so I stocked up on suppressants at a private clinic, where I ran smack into that same Omega from the bar. Fate's cruel joke. He blocked my path, every inch the genteel beauty. You must be Bruce's Omega. He mentions you often. Oh, I knew this script. Next he'd say how close they were, how long they'd known each other, how I should bow out gracefully. I sighed and tried to push past, but he caught my arm. Where are you going? Do I owe you reports on my schedule? My temper flared. I shoved him to the wall. I don't have time for small talk about my soon-to-be ex. Wait, you two are divorcing? Maybe you've misunderstood. Don't you get it? Whoever Bruce Allison ends up with won't matter to me. Just leave me alone. In my struggle, I tripped him, right into Bruce's chest. The report Bruce held fluttered to the ground like scattered snow. And my eyes caught the bold letters. Addiction. Pheromone frenzy syndrome. The Omega snatched it up quickly, glancing between us. Sorry, this was mine. I asked Bruce to come because I don't have many friends since returning. Bruce helped me up silently, his expression unreadable, unshaken even after being exposed. No explanation? I demanded before leaving, unwilling to accept his silence. As expected, there was only cold indifference. You said it yourself, it doesn't matter to you who I'm with. So what's there to explain? He took the report from the Omega's hand and walked away without another word. What had I been hoping for? Clutching the suppressants, I dragged myself along the corridor until I stopped at the hospital's panel of specialists. A young face stared back at me, long hair falling gracefully over his shoulders. Familiar. Too familiar. Ricky Glass. That Omega wasn't just a patient, he was a doctor here. So Bruce Allison had been playing the benevolent alpha, escorting a doctor to his own hospital appointment? I thought back to every heat cycle I'd endured, left alone with suppressants and medical staff while Bruce vanished into thin air. He never once accompanied me. Never once set foot inside a hospital by my side. And now? After that day, Bruce Allison disappeared altogether. No calls. No answers. As if he'd vanished from my life. Divorce papers or not, I was already halfway out the door. Word had reached my father's ears. Soon he'd send someone to drag me home. If Bruce refused to end this cleanly, then I'd take his money and leave. 2 years of separation would annul the marriage anyway. I arranged to meet my best friend at a restaurant Bruce often took me to. Gave the waiter my reservation, sat waiting, and waited and waited. 30 minutes later, my friend called. "Leo, where are you? I've been here ages. Room 201. 201? Wasn't it 205? I checked the number, flagged down a waiter. The waiter double-checked the ledger. Reservation was indeed for Leo Gomez, sir. But the other guest was Mr. Allison. He seemed unwell, so after confirming several times, we set the table. You're certain it was Leo Gomez? The waiter nodded. Yes, because Mr. Allison kept repeating, our Leo, darling, loves this dish, loves that dish. He was mad. Absolutely insane. Drunk, probably. I canceled the reservation and finally slipped into my friend's private room. We got straight to the point. Your intel, solid or not? Because right now, the only one I fear is my father. Bruce isn't answering your calls? Then yeah, he's probably setting you up to be snatched. Forget it. The arrow's already knocked. My friend pulled out IDs, bank cards, even a new phone. Leo, even if God himself comes down tonight, I'll back your suicide mission. The words had barely left his mouth when chaos erupted outside. And in the noise, I heard the voices of my father's men. They're here. I bolted from the private room, tore through the back exit. Footsteps thundered behind me. On my sprint toward the taxi stand, I glanced back and locked eyes with that long-haired Omega, Ricky Glass. Of all people, this doctor really had his hands in every corner. Leo Gomez, stop running. Ricky shouted, as if I would. Only an idiot would stop. I yanked open a cab door, but his voice rang out, sharper, louder, cutting through the night. Leo Gomez, save Bruce Allison. If you keep running, he'll drop dead. A piercing whine filled my ears. My hand froze on the handle. The wind slapped my face, dragged me back to myself, but my heart stuttered, ragged, out of rhythm. What did you just say? My voice broke, hoarse with terror. What do you mean? Bruce Allison about to die? Are you joking? I lunged, fisting his collar, shaking him so hard my own body trembled. You liar. Bruce is built like a tank. An alpha like him can't just keel over. You're conning me. This is fraud. I'm not lying. Ricky clasped my sweat-slick hand, gentle but firm. That report you saw, it was his. Bruce Allison's. He's in confinement now, chains binding him. His pheromones have overloaded. He's frenzied. If this keeps up, he'll die. I tell myself it was repayment for what he'd done for my family these past months. Just repayment. Nothing more. I repeated it, but my body still shook uncontrollably, my mind blank with fear. Whether he liked me or not, I didn't want him dead. If nothing else, then I'd force my love on him. If Bruce Allison was going to die, then he'd die by my hands. Even with the warning, the sight in the monitor room shredded me. Bruce was caged in a reinforced cell, wrists chained, a muzzle strapped across his face. His eyes burned, stripped of all reason. Ricky's voice was low. The suppressant nearly killed him today. The side effects triggered this collapse. Now he craves your pheromones. Desperately. But why me? I whispered. We never even completed a permanent mark. We don't have a bond. For an alpha who's never had an omega, Ricky explained, even a fleeting exposure can spark dependence. And with the two of you, your compatibility is unusually high. Fleeting exposure? I couldn't remember. But it didn't matter. There was no choice left. They would monitor from behind the glass. If I spoke, the feed would cut, granting us privacy. And if things turned dangerous, the red button on the wall would sound the alarm. The air inside the sealed cell was thick with the tang of smoke. Not his usual cigarettes, but his pheromones, saturating every corner. I fought the urge to sink to my knees, forcing one step after another until I stood before him. I released the faintest trace of champagne scent, hoping it would reach him. Behind the muzzle, Bruce Allison sniffed once, then thrashed violently against his restraints. Get out. Leave me. Maybe he really didn't want me. Maybe that was why, despite our high compatibility, he still fought against instinct. Am I that worthless to you? My pride stung. I tore the muzzle off his face. Like it or not, I'm the only one who can save you now. What the hell are you picking and choosing for? But his eyes were bloodshot, his voice broken. No, our Leo will be scared. What did you just say? Leo cried. Said he was afraid. Said he hated it. Images flickered, piecing themselves together under the pull of pheromones, memories I'd locked away. 3 months ago, during my first heat, he had tried to help me through it. But I had panicked, terrified, and hurled anything I could grab to drive him away. So ever since then, he'd stayed away? Out of fear of frightening me again? I didn't hate you. I was just scared. I freed him from his chains, leaned close to whisper in his ear. But this time your life is on the line. I'll save you. I'm not afraid anymore. His hands caught my waist, rough and trembling. I looked straight at the glowing red eye of the camera and mouthed the word, off. The next moment, reasonless, he pinned me to the bed and blotted out the world. Our Leo's pants are useless now, he rasped. Shut up. Don't waste time talking when you're supposed to be healing. I don't know how many days passed, where nights ended and mornings began. I only know that the single thread keeping me conscious was the truth I'd finally tasted. Bruce Allison did want me. He did care. When I came to, everything had been cleaned, the room stripped bare of chaos. You've been out 5 days, Ricky Glass told me. Then why isn't he here? My voice was weak, sinking into the pillow. I remember, Ricky faltered, words dying on his tongue. Before he could finish, my father stormed in, face set hard. He sighed as he looked me over. You're still too young. What happened, Dad? He turned, tossed a paper onto the bed. A divorce agreement. He signed it. You're free. What? Who let him sign? I went wild, scrambling up, clutching my father's arm. Where is he? I need to see him. My father checked his watch. You won't. His flight's at 2. Boarding in half an hour. It's 40 minutes to the airport. No. I don't care. I'm going. I jammed my feet into shoes, deaf to every warning. All I could think of was Bruce holding me, whispering he didn't want to scare me. I was wrong. God, I had been so wrong. Only after losing him did I see it, how much he had loved me all along. The warm milk, night after night. The blanket he never let slip away. The unshakable safety net whenever I messed up. Even my lawless tantrums, indulged, always, by him. I didn't bother with the mask of a well-behaved boy. I jumped on my motorcycle in pajamas and sped through the streets like a madman. At the airport, everything blurred. My ears rang, my calls went unanswered. I searched every corner, desperate for his tall frame. The boarding call chimed. I collapsed with my helmet in my arms, sobbing like a child. Bruce Allison. Who told you to leave? You bastard. You coward. You played me. His voice cut through my cries. Leo Gomez? Hallucination. Had to be. I buried my face, wailed harder. But then came the second call. The third. And when I finally looked up, there he was, Bruce, suitcase in hand, standing solid in the flesh. I dropped the helmet and hurled myself into him, knocking us both to the floor. Like a stray finding home, I buried my nose against him, inhaling his scent. Honey, it's really you. I'm not dreaming, am I? I don't want a divorce. I don't. If you dare leave, But every threat sounded laughable against him. Pouting, eyes wet, I looked up at him helplessly. He picked up the helmet, scooped me into his arms, and signaled his assistant to carry the luggage. On the way to the garage, he told me quietly that flight was for a business trip. But the partners postponed, so it was cancelled. I couldn't understand. He'd admitted everything to me, so why divorce me? He loved me. I knew it now. In the car, pressed against his chest, I still couldn't stay calm. Honey, why divorce me when we've already shared a bed? He brushed away my tears with his thumb. Because I never want to hurt you. I can't stand to see you cry. Is this just like the first time I rejected you? I cupped his face, forcing him to look at me. I know now. The illness scared you. Add to that the first time I pushed you away, you were terrified of hurting me, so you kept everything under control. But do you know what's even worse than not being loved? His eyes searched mine intently. What? It's losing love because you thought hiding it was protecting me. The words burned in my throat. It's true for both of us. I'm sorry, he murmured. I didn't think it through. If you're really sorry, then work with the doctors. Let me help you, instead of bottling everything up until it breaks you. Do you know how many alphas fainted from your pheromone blast that day? Half of them had to file injury reports. Bruce said nothing, his silence sharp as a knife. So tell me, how did you get here? Me. I faltered, realizing how ridiculous I must look. If he found out I'd roared down the highway on my motorcycle in pajamas, he'd lecture me into the grave. I slumped back into my seat, mumbling, I was crying earlier. Let's just go home and undivorce, all right? Undivorce later. He pulled me back into his lap, voice low. Leo, that maniac flying down the highway, that was you? Seeing no way out, I stole a kiss to cover my guilt. Oh, okay, I was wrong. I'll never do it again. I limped back to the apartment with a sore backside, only to find my father waiting at the door, and behind him, my other dad, bruised and battered. Dad, why are you holding him like that? Showing off your love? Bruce Allison. At once, my father grabbed Bruce by the collar, ripping buttons clean off. So you're Bruce Allison. I know everything now. Who gave you the guts? I remembered suddenly, my old man had broadcasted that his precious son had been sold off to an alpha just to draw my dad out. Instead of my dad's men, what arrived first were crates of razor blades and a horde of creepy Barbie dolls. Now my dad was here in the flesh, weapons ready. No wonder my other father clung to Bruce's arms, keeping him from tearing into him. The hallway exploded into chaos. My dad raging, Bruce unable to strike back, my other father pleading, and me cowering behind Bruce in a panic. Stop it, all of you, please. Dad, Bruce and I are already divorced. Beating him now is pointless. It wasn't true, of course. We hadn't truly ended things. But on paper, yes, the marriage was dissolved. And right now, all I wanted was to calm the storm. But those words only lit the fuse. Divorced. My father nearly dragged my other dad down with him as he tried to pin Bruce to the ground. Our boy's perfect in every way, and you dare throw him aside? It took half an hour, countless oaths sworn on ancestors, and Bruce solemnly declaring his devotion before my dad finally relented, letting him hold my hand as we slipped inside. I don't get the point of all this ritual, I muttered, walking ahead. If you wanted to leave me, you could give me everything and still walk away. I didn't notice the silence behind me, not until heat pressed against my back, a scorching body sagging into mine. Breath washed over my hair as I turned just in time to catch Bruce collapsing into me. Honey, did my dad scare you into an early susceptibility period? Don't worry, he's all bark and no bite. Even if he disagrees, he'll drag me home kicking and screaming, but he won't hurt you. He shook his head against my shoulder, arms cinching tight around my waist as he steered us toward the shoe cabinet. Not susceptibility. You forgot, I'm sick. You? My stomach twisted. The memory of that report slammed back into me, the words blazing. Addiction. Your medicine, your cigarettes, where are they? Panic flared. I pawed at his pockets until he caught my wrist and pressed it to his chest. The cigarettes, I've decided to quit. His eyes were steady, dark with something I couldn't name. It was everything I'd fantasized, but reality was far harsher. All because I'd once spat out that I'd find someone better than him. Bruce had spent sleepless nights proving me wrong. His hand closed around my throat, pinning me, dragging me from one end of the bed to the other. Why are you crying? I'm happy, Leo, His voice was low, rough with something feral. "Darling, how can you not smile at me? I didn't hurt you." I choked, tears spilling as his body caged mine completely. This was the end. The end.
Thanks for stopping by. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.